What is the dumbest thing you have ever done while high? I walked into a fast food place. Made a huge order. I got all my food and drink. Sat my food on a table and went to use the bathroom. Then I walked out and went home and didn't realize what I did for at least 2 hours. I threw my socks in the trash instead of the laundry basket. Twice. They weren't even in the same room. In the middle of a board game. I stood up to get another beer a few feet from the game table but had to remove the gallon of milk from the fridge to get the beer. I picked up the jug. And matched eyes with a non-high friend of mine. For some reason thought I'd make him laugh by pretending to pour the milk on my head. The cap was not on the jug properly. My friend watches stoned me took a gallon of milk and poured it on my head. Everyone was just as confused as I was as there was no rhyme or reason for any of it. My explanation for why it happened wasn't very valid. My friend and I were into cooking high. For a while. Got high. Cooked ourselves the biggest meal possible. And eat with a good movie. Well, one evening we decide to go for the biggest lasagna ever. Everything is super tasty. We layer the out of that lasagna in a deep ceramic dish, is that the term? In the oven for some minutes. Very high temperature. Something like 40 minutes and a joint later. I go to the oven. Smell the tasty deliciousness emanating from it. And it seems to be perfect. I put an oven mitt on my left hand. Open the oven door. And full on grab the dish with my right hand. My first thought. Don't let go and break it. Put it down calmly. I mean, I could have let go immediately and broken the dish. That would have been annoying but not painful. Or set the dish back on the tray and switched hand. You know. Small burn. You're an idiot. Live on. But no. I decided to keep that lava-hot dish in my unprotected hand for a few seconds. And I could, too, if I pull the same stunt while sober. I'm guessing I'll just let go by reflex. Without even thinking. But no. I could clearly think, okay. Don't break anything. Set it down on the counter and get some water. Dumbass. I earned the biggest visible scar I'll, hopefully, ever have. A shitload of pain for a few days. And the best oven-related story in my life. Not the best weed-related story though. But that's for another thread. TLDR. Cooking a lasagna. I put an oven mitt on my left hand. Grabbed the dish with my right hand. And decided not to risk breaking the meal and hold on to it. I dunno about dumbest but the most memorable experience of being high was this time a friend brought over weed gummy bears. They were pretty powerful so we're all very high sitting in my front room and somebody suggests we do nose. So we set up the balloons and for some reason decide to put the Pirates of the Caribbean music on my TV while we do it. So I pass the remote to my friend who sets it up and we start the music and do the balloons. I don't really remember what happened but we were. When I came back to myself I realized that my TV had been turned to max volume. And this is one that you only ever need at around 15 or so when it goes to 100. I was worried my neighbors would get so turned to my friend who set it up and told him to turn down the TV like now. He just stared back at me and went, "Dude, you have the remote." And so I did. Apparently I'd sat there turning up the volume chuckling and saying, "It's Pirates." It sounds dumb until you really start to think about it but the first time I did shrooms I did quite a bit. So I was tripping for almost 15 hours straight. In the middle of it I went on a rant about doors and walls. I went into great detail about how I thought that walls were a thing of the past and got upset that we haven't converted all walls to doors by now. You want a wall? Close the door. You decide that you're tired of that one wall? Open the door. Half a year ago I was invited to a birthday party. The party was in the center of a small town in the youth center and we were pretty loud the whole time. At around 1 p.m. we went on the roof of the building and started to smoke some joints. In the country I live in it's illegal to own weed so it wasn't the smartest move. Right when we finished and dropped the joint on the ground, we were now in the yard, some policemen came over. Me and all the other guys who smoked went inside. The police came in too. And asked which one of us was smoking outside. I was high at the time and thought, if I answer all their question they would eventually let us continue. Because we hid the weed and they had no proof except the smell. So I went outside with them. My friends standing a few meters away to hear the talk. Police officer 1. What were you doing? Me. We were smoking a cigarette. PO1. Why did you take turns? Me. Because it was the last we had. PO1. And why are your eyes so red? Me. I am tired. Everyone understood that they were just trying to intimidate me. After that they wanted to go. But I don't know why. Maybe I found the situation funny. But I started giggling like an idiot. They came back and asked me again. PO2. Are you in possession of drugs? Me. If I had any drugs, would you be interested in buying them? That's when went loose. My friends shocked faces. The police officers dragging me to the side threatening me with arrests and other things. And me immediately realizing what I have done. The police eventually realized that I was just an idiot trying to be cool, so they went away. But I just felt like an idiot that night. Sorry for long text and sorry for my English. I get fairly paranoid when I smoke. Once I was smoking with a coworker and his roommate and I realized I was very high. My first thought was, I can't let them know I am high. I realized shortly after that they were also high, so thusly I couldn't let them know how high I was. The logical course of action was to walk an hour home. On the way home I was going to stop at Tim Hortons and get a coffee to try and balance me out. As I approached the door I realized they may notice I am high and inform the authorities. So I left. I saw a cop car go past and decided they were looking for me. I go to my bed and lay down, mentally preparing for my life as a fugitive. Only to realize I am in my late 20s. Pot is legal in Canada. And the people I was smoking with wouldn't have cared that I was super high. My friend and I were high while switching classes in high school. I started moving my arms in a circular motion and I told her, I feel like a train. She walked behind me, doing the same thing, and we were both whispering, chugga chugga chugga. Coincidentally, this was also the last time I smoked. Good times. Several grams of mushrooms in. I go to use the bathroom. In my home the bathroom was by the back door just off the kitchen, the door to the bathroom facing the back door and the mirror on the opposite side of the wall to the living room. This is important to the story. I pee and go to leave the washroom and turn to see the door melting. My wisdom tells me that I should use the other door, the one in the mirror, so I turn to the guy in the mirror and ask to use his door. He politely refuses. I inform him of my logic in that his door goes straight to the living room and my door is melting. Again he refuses. You can't go through this door, he says. I plead with him, trying to make my point from logic, and this goes on for several minutes. I then finally turn to the melting door with a fine then, and as I open the door I realize my mistake. Making my way into the living room, my family and friends are laughing hysterically as they were listening to me argue with myself in the mirror. Snapped my elbow whilst trying to backflip. Quite a bad break. Lost full use of that arm forever and regularly in pain as a result. On vacation in California with my brothers and some friends, and we were all helping make dinner. It was some bomb as bacon mac and cheese. My job was to chop up the bacon. Well, I ate 2 edibles at the beginning of dinner prep, and by the time the bacon was done in the oven, I was the one fully baked. I spent an eternity tearing the bacon into tiny pieces by hand and complaining how hot it was the whole time. Only when I was finished did somebody suggest I should have used a knife. One time, while on acid, I was super excited because I thought I invented orange juice. I wrote my idea down and everything. I thought for sure I would make it big. Sobered up and realized orange juice already exists. Back in the day I used to read a lot. This was before phones were very good. Now I read Reddit a lot instead of books. I had been reading for a while that day and was over halfway through this great paperback novel. I went to get something from the kitchen, and when I came back I couldn't find my book. I looked everywhere and just couldn't find it. I was so bummed. It didn't turn up that day. It was like 3 days later that I went to the kitchen for some ice and opened the freezer. There was my book in the freezer door, face with hand over mouth thinking face. 4 of us walked through the local McDonald's drive-thru in our invisible car. We got refused. The funny part was when my M8 went inside after to get his food, he said to the server that we just got refused in our invisible car, and she went and got the manager. Took a couple of minutes for they to notice what he was actually complaining about. I had a round wooden cutting board, and because of the shape, I confused it for my ceramic pizza stone. Didn't realize it until I smelled something burning from the living room, and then I was like, wait, was that wood that I put that pizza on? After cleaning and smoking a big bag of weed, we decided we could make popcorn with the seeds. It does not work, and we ended up with a kitchen full of grease smoke. Imagine though if it had worked. Nobody would be laughing now.